So, just want to say welcome to my channel, The Dancing Buddha. Just getting ready to go to my store right now and sell some crystals, but first I got to get my breakfast ready. I've already had my first course, which is always a smoothie, and then of course I go to my second, which is usually pancakes with some fruit, no sugar, no syrup. Then I usually have a salad, and then finish off with dried nuts and raisins and that sort of thing. I won't eat once a day, but I find that satisfies my hunger for 24 hours, and don't look at eating food again. Kind of a different way of being, but you can be surprised at how much food can govern our schedule, and there are more efficient ways of dealing with it, I guess. But enjoy yourselves, and I'll be back in a minute. So, let's go. Better turn off my light though, save electricity. Probably should close my door. Oh boy. Well, it's a nice cool morning. Kind of wet actually. This is where I live, in Dorchester, Ontario. Just a small town outside of London, Ontario. These are mobile homes here that I recently bought with my dad, and then when he passed away, kind of ended up here on my own here. But it's nice. There's a nice pond that I go canoeing in or kayaking in quite often. I think we're probably done for the season now, but certainly enjoyed it for the summer. So I work at the crystal shop. It's called the Dancing Buddha from just Saturdays and Sundays, 9 to 5. The hope one day, I guess, is that it grows to be another day or two longer, but not really full time. I'm really trying to avoid making it into a job, I guess. The whole point of this is to end seeking, because when we're seeking something, it means we don't have it. And really, all things are really a form of seeking peacefulness in a way. No matter what we seek, we want the mind to come to a state of rest or peacefulness or inactivity, by bringing something into our life, that will end the need for looking for something more. And I know we get caught in this loop of looking for these types of things that will end our unhappiness. But I've kind of taken a separate way of doing it, or a different way, and that is by saying that maybe it's the searching that's creating the unhappiness. That in some ways, why don't I end the search for peace? And when I do end the search for peace, I begin to realize that so much of my energy is used for searching that when I stop searching, I am at a state of peacefulness. And then when I start really looking at the world, I begin to realize that so much of what we have to deal with each day is the result of other people searching for happiness in a very narrow way. and they create businesses which will be vehicles for creating that happiness, and rules and regulations and all sorts of things, until we live in a world so polluted, full of ideas and thoughts and motions, and that we have a hard time seeing that all this is really taking place in a world that's quite peaceful if we stop searching for our own brand of peace in a narrow way. And so I guess this is kind of why I created the store, was because it helps me to stop being in a mode of searching all the time, as I was in other industries. More or less, I'm simply just talking about spirituality, and I try to make selling the crystals not as important. I mean, we all need to make a living, but I'm pretty sure that if I'm on the right track with divine energy, that divine energy recognizes that fact too, and that I will be taken care of. Yeah, I remember the first time that I began thinking about this concept of living in a world that's already peaceful, and that the peace is really being disrupted more by the way that we think. I remember the first time I thought that was driving. That's why this is reminding me of it, I guess, because I was driving and I got out to the country on the way to wherever I was going, and I stopped the car for a few minutes and I rolled down the window, and I remember thinking, my God, how quiet and peaceful the world is. And then I began realizing that that's the same feeling I get when I go camping, or when I go to the beach early in the morning, or when I'm out in the woods by myself. And then I kind of began to think, well, probably the desert's that way, and really everywhere is that way, quiet kind of calmness of nature, and I know that there are times when animals must eat, but I think these times are much more dramatized on TV than they really come in nature. When you start thinking about watching a nature show and you see predation on the show, you can't help but realize that these people stood there for sometimes weeks trying to capture these shots, because I got some railroad tracks coming up. Sorry. Because most of the time the animals are in a state of balance. They have been fed, or they are fed, and so they're simply living their lives. And in times when their hunger rises, they form a kind of an imbalance where they're pushed to the left or pushed to the right, and that forces them to go out and to find food. And really, this is the beginning of how the mind works, is that the mind, when it is at peace, is kind of in a balance, but it can be pushed into states of imbalance where it's pushed to the left or pushed to the right in order to begin choosing one thing over another. And in that way, we choose to get up and to go eat as opposed to rest. Because if we did not have the ability to choose one thing over another, we would simply stay in the state of mind that we were always in. So the mind, to search for food, moves into states of imbalance. But I think what happened is that when man became aware, self-aware, and became aware of all the other emotional things that come along with seeing yourself in your own world, and the mind began to use this ability to become imbalanced to the left or to the right, and to choose one thing over another, to seek other things other than food. And we began to seek things that were more, well, not really real in a physical sense, but things like peace or love, or we seek calmness, that kind of thing. But we seek it by finding things outside of ourselves, and we bring those things into our life to somehow bring these states of mind into existence. But I think what we begin to forget is that when we're searching for peace, we're not at peace. And when we find something external that gives us peace, it's often a physical object, like maybe it's a job or a wife or a home or a certain kind of life. It gives us a momentary pause where we find that stillness, which we call peacefulness. But then the very fact that we own that object, or that we have that object in our life and that we require it, brings up more movement, other forms of movement, like fear of loss, like worrying about upkeep and maintenance, like worrying about insurance, worrying about all, storing things, caring for things, all these other movements that come from owning something that's supposed to create a form of peaceful stillness. So it doesn't. It creates more responsibility in a way. And so that's why the Buddha suggested that we begin to let go of these types of things. There are some things we need to latch onto to bring ourselves into a state of peacefulness physically. And those things are the things that we physically require. Sorry, I'm driving. To live. Food, basic shelter, clothing, that kind of thing. But really, we shouldn't be searching for peace. We should be peaceful. We shouldn't be seeking love, or we should be loving. And if we are being loving to all things and being peaceful to all things, you will see that we will not need to seek peace or seek love, because we will have love as a response from the people that we're dealing with. We will have peacefulness as a response from the people that we're dealing with. And so that we can stay in a kind of a state of peacefulness that exists naturally in the world by avoiding movements to the left or to the right, or seeking peace in very narrow ways that will only bring on further responsibilities. And in this way, we can find peace in a very simple way, and then show love and peacefulness to others, and hopefully help them to reach the same state. Just the kind of thing that I've been doing, and this is the kind of thing I promote for the store, and I certainly hope that it brings some good responses. Okay, so it's the next stoplight is Gibraltar Weekend Market. I'm not sure how long it's been there, but I mean, I took my son there when he was kindergarten, and he's 30, so it's got to be 25 years old anyways. Here it comes up. It's just here on the right hand side, just after the lights. Gibraltar Weekend Market, or Trade Center. I love the place. There it is, big green building. But I don't know, it's just something that I kind of grew up with, and I've always wanted to have a booth here, and I've had one here now for 5 years, and I love it. I mean, I don't think there's been a weekend that I didn't want to come to work. Just love it. I don't know why, but I guess sometimes you get to do what you want to do. So we'll find a parking spot and we'll go check her out. If I look cold, it's because I'm sitting in my booth at Gibraltar Weekend Market, and it's fall and it just seems to be a little cool out right now. And of course I'm bald. You lose a lot of heat off the top of our head, so I have to be careful. Anyway, this is my booth at Gibraltar. I have a rocks, crystals, geode style booth. Really, I don't specify any particular spirituality, because I view it that really all are like languages that are really trying to say the same thing in totally different ways. But in reality, it is simply the mind seeking the best path to a peaceful life. And I think that each person must learn to untie their knot in their own way, because we're not built the same. We don't see the same way. We don't have the same experiences. And for that reason, we must learn to understand the things that are driving us to the left or to the right or off our path in a unique way. Because watching one man, for example, fix his golf swing doesn't fix our golf swing. It simply teaches us that golf swings can be altered, can be changed, and so it is with our lives as well. So that's why I have the shop. I'm going to give you a quick tour of it, and we'll see where it leads. So this is the Dancing Buddha. We'll start out on this shelf here. I started out collecting small stones myself. I think Tiger Eye was my favorite. Obsidian was my second when I first started, and I've slowly collected all sorts of types of crystals and polished stones for people to collect. Yeah, it's just a small little market spot here, but I've got lots of selection. Mookite, beautiful, beautiful mookite. Pyrite. Lots of stuff, petrified wood. I want my favorites here. I try not to have too many favorites. The trick to life is to love all things evenly. That's chairite. Titanium quartz. That's made. That's altered by man to get that, but it's kind of cool. Same thing. Obsidian, snowflake. That one. Blue onyx. Gold sandstone. Another man-made product. But I believe it was invented back when the alchemists were searching for gold, so it's kind of still got some cool factor to it. Afghan lapis, all kinds of stones. These are beautiful, large labradorite with lots of blues, you know. Amethyst pieces, some citrine. I make all my own bracelets as well. That's kind of cool. Lots of selenite, of course. Down below, some pendants. Another big selenite sphere and some smaller but more expensive clear spheres. That one sold yesterday. This one, I got someone interested in that one as well, but I haven't really sold it yet. I love this one. On the bottom, other types of pendants. Moldavite from Czech Republic. Piece of amethyst. That's a meteorite. Crystallized. It began as a core of a planet outside of our solar system, so it's quite old. Another druzy. These are nice too. That one's off the kilter. Just different things that I like. I bring them in. Enjoy. Shiva stones. Lots of points. But it's kind of cool. Anyways, let's take a look at a few other spots here. Oh, I like my Buddhas too. Lots of little Buddhas. I have these skulls. These I make out of concrete, and I pour them and paint them, as well as these ones here. Lots of cool things. These are popular. Pentagram, mortar and pestles. Crystal kits. Below I've got singing bowls. There's another skull there that I poured and painted. Lots of different things. Bracelets are nice. There's malachite. Coffee agate. Rainbow moonstone, beautiful. And these ones are nephrite jade, and that one's got a silver bead on it. Natural fragrances. These Buddhas I hand paint. this thing's dragon septarian stone. Witch's pots. A couple more beautiful, beautiful mortar and pestles. Another Buddha up here. Some nice eggs. Skulls carved and out of Indonesia. Made of bone. Lots of candle holders. Spell candles. And of course, dragon's blood. Lots more Buddhas. This is a nice one. This is a Ganesh candle holder. And this is a hand-made obsidian knife. Beautiful, beautiful. Sorry, got a little bit of sniffles today. And we got lots of incense. Little crystals. These little geodes are drilled at the back so that you can put a little candle on. They're nice. Lots more stones again. Thumb stones. Big chunks of tourmaline are cool, as well as some larger pieces of selenite. Lots of points. These are nice too. These are crystal skulls from India. More incense. This is resin incense burned on charcoal. These are little burners you can burn it in. And we got the big boy here. I've got a few more coming soon. But that one there, 617 marked down to 450. Very nice. Pyrite sun. Yeah, lots of cool Buddhist things. Anyways, that's the store. I just open on the weekends at Gibraltar Weekend Market in London. And I do it well, because I love doing it, I guess. Anyways, thank you again. I appreciate everyone's interest in the things that we're doing here, and look forward to talking to you again. Thanks.